Hey guys, welcome back. Today I thought it would be great for me to talk to you guys about some advice. Some advice I could give you, some wise words. And I honestly don't have much credentials to back up what I'm gonna say, but with my understanding of human psychology and how my generation works, I feel like I can give you the best of my knowledge. Mind you, take what I say with a grain of salt. So a lot of this is just my opinion. Oh, like, you don't have to listen to me. So yeah. So one of the first things that I think I would give advice to someone, and I have actually, is when you're stuck in a relationship with someone and you feel like you can't leave, but you don't know why. It's just like you feel like you're tethered to someone, and even though they're giving you all the signs to leave them alone, and things are just never working out, but every time they text you or you see them, it's just an automatic like fold, like you just go in for it, you know what I'm saying? I found myself in a few situations like this, and so have my friends, and I've come to the realization that a lot of it stems from the fact that we think in our minds, we start to fantasize this idea of what this person can be. Now I know a lot of people probably heard this before, but like when you really think about it, I'm imagining this person as someone that I want to imagine them as, and not how they actually are. And in turn, you just start to think about, oh, like we would make a cute couple, or all these dates and all this fun stuff, and you start to like romanticize with this person. None of that stuff is actually playing out in reality, but you're like, if we can get there, it'd be great, but it won't. And you miss out on those cues, on those signs till it's too late that the person is not as committed to a relationship as you may be, which leaves you tethered. Honestly, once you come to the realization that I'm in love with the idea of a person and not what the person actually is, you start to become more aware of what they're doing that is preventing you guys from getting to that point, which then in turn decreases that attractiveness towards them, or that attraction towards them. Now I know this might not work for everyone, but when I find myself in a situation where I'm like, why do I still get a pit in my stomach every time this person texts me, or butterflies, or I can't seem to just not text them back or just let this die, I realized I'm starting to think about what we can be and not what we are. We aren't going to be anything, and that's when a communication becomes a very important part in these relationships that people have. So that brings me into like my second piece of advice is communication, and not being afraid to speak your truth, speak what's on your mind, because at the end of the day, unfortunately, we are all going to die. So try to live without regrets, and a lot of the regrets come from the lack of communication that you may have. At least for me, in my experience, I realize a lot of the times I put myself in these positions that I don't want to be in, and instead of communicating effectively that, hey, I don't want to do this, or hey, this, or speaking up that I disagree with what's going on, I allow it to happen and realize further down the line that it is draining me and mentally like destroying me. I realize now that when you're in relationships with people, especially nowadays, that both men and women lack that emotional intelligence and communication to say, hey, I'm not looking for anything serious. Let's just be friends with benefits. Let's just be, we'll get to know each other, but I'm not really looking for anything serious. That way, off the jump, off the gate, the other party knows, okay, this person doesn't want anything serious. They have established they don't want anything serious, so I'm not going to take this serious. Or, okay, they don't want anything serious. I'm looking for something serious, so I'm going to appreciate your communication. I personally am looking for something a little more serious and getting to know someone further, so I think we would be better off as friends. Or you can end it there if you don't think the friendship could work out. I think we'd be better if we go our separate ways. Honestly, this will happen more when you mature, and the more relationships or the more dates or the different people you talk to, you'll realize, okay, me putting myself in a position I don't want to be in isn't getting me anywhere, versus communicating that I respectfully that I don't want to be in a position will honestly help me further. You waste so much time when you give someone a chance that you never actually want to give a chance, or you waste so much time when you think you could change this person's mind and make them think, oh, I can change him, I can make him better, I can make her better, I can make him fall in love with me, and they never do. And usually you end up being the person with the broken heart because you fed into this delusion like sickly. So I think communication is so important, and you really have to take some confidence in your words and say, in like, don't be afraid to say, hey, this is not working out, we need to take a break, this is not working out, I think we should go our separate ways, hey, I'm not really interested, I think it would be best if we didn't pursue this. You can do it in a respectful way, and if the party doesn't respect how you communicated with them, then that's an obvious sign that it was not going to work out anyways. And then just be done with it. Move on. Let things go and keep going. That brings me on to my third piece of advice: letting things go. We as a society hold on to grudges that we don't need to hold on to. So a lot of the stuff that we feel, and this kind of ties back into the communication and like relationship aspect, as in, yes, someone might have broken your heart. We all go through our first heartbreak, maybe. I'm just generalizing. When you go through that, you just feel like you can never come back to how you fully were. You know, me personally, I've never had a romantic heartbreak, but I've had like a principal heartbreak. Like the principle of a situation really affected me so bad that I literally felt like my heart was broken because of the betrayal of it. But then in turn, I lost trust in people. I stopped opening up to people. I closed myself off like a closed door. You couldn't open me like a vault. And I realized that I missed out on so many opportunities to be acquainted, friends, meet so many people, and just be myself because I was afraid that the same thing would happen to me again. Now, obviously, no one wants to go through a heartbreak again. No one wants to go through this traumatic pain or experience that they felt with a relationship with someone. But when you don't even allow yourself to go back out into that field, then you never will. And then you also turn into developing toxic traits in a relationship. And I found that even though someone was telling me the truth, in the back of my mind, I didn't believe them. And I probably would never believe them. So everything they would say, I was always just like, okay, I still don't believe you. And it always left to this overthinking pattern of, oh, like they must be doing this, they must be doing that, they're not answering, they haven't texted me back in so long. And you realize this obsession, this overthinking, these are all toxic traits that developed from my heartbreak. So learning to move from, yes, when you break your heart, you don't want to open up again. But instead of closing yourself off from this horrible situation, learn to let go of what happened in the past. Learn from it. Let go and learn from it. Understand that when you're in this situation again, if you start getting back in the dating pool, you need to learn that from this situation, I saw these red flags. These are the signs that this was going on. Be willing to give someone else another chance, because not every person is bad. And when people go on the internet and say like all men cheat or all women cheat or all men do this, women do that, it's too generalized, because that's not the case for a lot of people. They just have to find the right person. And that's what this game of life is you need to go out and find the right person for you. So whenever you start dating someone again and you're like, oh, there's similar habits to what's going on, that's when that communication is important. But don't hold on to, oh my gosh, they're gonna cheat on me like just like my ex did, or oh my gosh, like they're going to lie to me. or be manipulative just like my ex is from these little signs. But that's when you have to communicate. This is this, this is that, this is third. I think once you figure out how to let things go and not let that past affect you, you'll honestly grow way more, because nothing's holding you down. You're not held down by these past relationships, and you'll flourish to a whole nother level. And that's something that does take time. Like, don't expect it to happen overnight. I tell myself stuff like this all the time, and I still find myself in little situations holding on or not communicating when I should have. But I'm getting better, and I'm seeing my inner self develop more each day that I learn to live life to the fullest. So that's kind of my advice to you guys. I hope you kind of understood what I was trying to say, and if I communicated that effectively. I know I was just talking about communication, but hopefully you can comprehend what I'm trying to say and apply it into your life, because although these might not be advice that everyone needs to take, it is valuable in my eyes that you don't have to have it just in a romantic relationship, but in all your relationships throughout your life, family, friends, work, lovers, stuff like that. That's kind of all I have to say. And yeah, bye.